Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Low Key Chaotic. I don't feel like I have anything profound to say this week, so I just wanted to sit with you guys for a little bit. Obviously, I feel the pressure of having to upload weekly because now there's like people that want to hear from me weekly, which is really cool. And by the way, we just became eligible for monetization on Spotify, which is like a crazy milestone. I just applied for it. Let's see. I was going to ask you guys if you're okay with this because I think it means they're going to start playing ads or whatever. But I don't know if this, I don't know how this shit works. The more I know, the sooner I know, more the what? I can't speak. The more I know, the sooner I will let you guys know. What am I even trying to say? My brain, I can't today. Today has been a day. It was a beautiful day. I was hanging out with my friend who just recently had a baby, and then our other friend joined also, and she's soon releasing her first song. So it was really cute because it was just like, this is what life in your 20s is. Like, your friends are having babies, your friends are becoming pop stars. It's so cute. It's like the perfect balance. I love my friends so, so much. But yeah, the whole monetization thing is crazy because it just really reflects how we're growing so much, because in order to be monetized on Spotify, you have to have like a certain amount of like hours that people are listening to you every month and a certain amount of people that are tuning in every month. So it's just a really cool feeling that this podcast is growing. And I don't know if my issue with like only feeling like talking about things when they make me feel inspired is like unprofessional. Like, shouldn't I just show up because I have to? You know what I mean? But I think that's kind of the challenge with like being a creative. Like, if shit is not moving you, it's like really hard to move just because you have to, you know? I originally wanted to do an episode about, you know how everybody's posting about 2016. And in 2016, I was living in London. So a lot of like people that I know from London were posting pictures from back then that made me feel kind of triggered, because in my head, there's only like before 2016 and after 2016, because 2016 changed my life. Like, that was the year I got into an abusive relationship. And for me, there's only before and after. Like, it's really crazy how much trauma changes you. And so seeing all of those posts just kind of triggered me, because I really wish I could go back in time and like tell me then to not get involved with this guy, because it also happens so fast. Like, you think this is just like an innocent, fun little crush, and then you blink and suddenly you're like in an abusive relationship that you literally physically cannot get out of, because you're so addicted to that person and to that cycle. And suddenly it's been like fucking 10 years. And it's baffling to me how it's been 10 years. I cannot believe that I met my ex 10 years ago, and that I don't want to say I'm only getting back to who I am now, because there's no such thing as going back to who I am. Like, I'm never going to be the same person that I was from like before the abuse. But it's crazy to me how I feel like I'm only fully trusting in myself and believing in myself now, because I was like, getting over this guy took me so long. That's why I've been saying for the past 2 months on my podcast that I literally have never dated in my 20s before. I've never dated in my 20s because I was just down bad for this guy. So that's why this is like my first time like dating and trying to get to know people in a romantic sense. And it was my first time being entangled with a man on a regular basis since my ex. And it's crazy to me because when I met my ex, I was still such a kid. Like, I had just turned 18, and you're such a child when you're 18. And the fact that I was like so obsessed with him and so addicted to him for like, I want to say 8 years. I feel like I only stopped being, okay, that's a bit dramatic. I feel like I stopped being addicted to him in 2022, which makes that how many years? 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 20. Yeah, okay, my math was kind of right. I was addicted to him for like 7 years. That's a long time. And even beyond the addiction, like I was going back to him because he was all I knew. He was his body and our sex. That was all I knew and all I felt comfortable having. So even though I knew that he's bad for me, and even though I wasn't in love with him anymore and I wasn't addicted to him anymore, I still went back to him all the time, just out of pure comfort, because I knew what I was getting. I knew what was going to happen. And I'm so happy that I broke out of that cycle, because look at what happens when you finally have the courage to open up to new people. It's like I was blessed with so many exciting experiences over the past few months, and I'm looking forward to the many more exciting experiences I'm going to have in my future. I just need to push myself a little bit, because I can like feel myself falling back into what's easy for me, which is to just stay away from strangers. As much as I long to be in love and I really, really want to experience a partnership and like build a life with someone, it's really scary, because love and having crushes on people and having feelings for people, it just consumes me so much. It consumes me so much. I'm such a lover girl, and I know that there's so many good sides to being a lover girl, but at the same time, I also hate myself so much because I'm so sensitive and I feel so much, and I have such high expectations, and I take things so personal, and I feel hurt so easily, and I feel I'm just in so much pain. I feel like there was a time in my life where and I feel like I still kind of identify with this, but there's a part of me that believes that I'm just gonna be heartbroken for eternity, because I don't know what it feels like to not be heartbroken. And I don't even mean just in the romantic sense, but just in the everyday sense. There's always something that breaks my heart. And I really hate myself for being so sensitive. And I know that I always like to blame my ex and be like, I'm scared of dating because my ex traumatized me, and I'm scared of men, and I'm scared of sex. But at the same time, I mean, that definitely contributed to why I stayed away from dating and away from men for so long. But at the same time, it's also because I don't trust myself. It's because I know that I fall really hard and I feel so deeply and I feel so much. And I'm scared of that. I'm afraid of that, because it ultimately means that I'm not in control. And letting yourself go and letting yourself fall into somebody when you feel so deeply and so intensely is one of the scariest things ever, especially with my history, where at one point I was together with a man that was literally beating me up, but I would have literally died for him. And like looking back at like how much I prioritized him over myself, I'm afraid that I'm I'm really scared that I'm not capable of like healthily loving somebody. I'm really scared that I don't know what it means to love yourself. I'm really scared that I'm only capable of being in like partnerships or relationships where I don't know what it means to put myself first or put myself next to my partner. I feel like I've only ever experienced what it means to put yourself under them. You know what I mean? And as much as I yearn to experience a healthy love and a healthy partnership, I don't know if I'm capable. And I'm really excited to find out though. Like, this is not me saying that I'm giving up. I'm so not giving up. Like, I'm really excited to meet the love of my life and face all of these fears together, because that's essentially what you do in a partnership, right? Especially all of those traumas that you thought you healed from. There's certain things that I thought I healed from that I now understood I haven't healed from, and I only understood it now because these are the things you get exposed to when you're involved romantically with people again, because it's trauma that was caused by somebody that you were romantically involved with. So of course that gets re-triggered when you're dating people. Like, for example, when the guy that I was last seeing ended it with me, when he said the words that it's unfair to me and we can't continue doing this and we're not going to keep seeing each other, I literally froze. Like, I was sitting there and I couldn't get a single word out. I was just staring at him for 45 minutes straight. My brain wasn't working. I couldn't say anything. I was just in freeze mode. And you know how some people, they go in fight or flight. Some people would have started crying. Some people would have left. Some people would have screamed. Some people would have been super regulated and been capable of having a normal conversation. I went into freeze mode. And I'm pretty sure that is because my ex taught me that it is safer for me to freeze, because if I do anything else, it will just escalate the situation and it will end up in conflict or in abandonment. Because whenever my ex would do things to me and I would try to stand up for myself and talk, I would always get punished. I would always get punished, whether that was with physical abuse, with him abandoning me, with him icing me out, with him ignoring me. I would always get punished. So my body figured out that if I just do nothing, that will keep me safer. And I hadn't been exposed to me reacting in that way since my ex. Like, I haven't been in freeze mode because my body feels triggered and unsafe and is scared of what's about to happen in so long. And that was one of those moments where I was like, damn, Zoe, like, I know it's been years since your ex abused you, but that shit sits so deeply inside of you. And those things I'm so excited to work through whoever my partner is supposed to be. I cannot wait to like face all of these things together with patience and understanding, you know? And after I was so transparent with you guys about this whole dating thing that I've been up to the past few months, you guys have sent me so many messages about you guys' experiences in like situationships and shit, and are telling me the cutest things, like the fact that there is people out there who are telling me that my podcast has given them the strength to stand up for themselves and has given them language to understand feelings they had a hard time articulating, is like the cutest compliment in the fucking world. And it just is such a good feeling, because there are so many moments where I'm like, where like internalized misogyny gets to me. There are so many moments where I'm like, should I be talking about all of this? Is the world gonna think that I'm fucking crazy? Like, the fact that the guy that I met in November and I was dating him for almost 2 months, the fact that I'm still bringing him up now, and it's been like, I don't know, our thing ended like over a month ago, there are parts of me that's like, is that embarrassing? Should I even still talk about him? But then I'm like, am I really going to be inauthentic with you guys and not talk about the things that are in my fucking brain and all the lessons that I'm learning? Am I not gonna share everything that I'm going through with you guys because I'm afraid that the world thinks I'm crazy, weird, obsessed. Those are like, again, those are things that my ex drilled into me. Like, because of him, I always second guess everything I do because he would literally make fun of me for wanting to do things, for feeling things, for thinking things. Like, he would always put me down and be so condescending and make me feel like everything that I'm doing is wrong. And so now, whenever I do shit, I second guess myself because I hear his voice still to this day. And it really takes work to be like, no, bitch, the fuck? None of what you're doing is by any means weird or obsessive or insane or crazy. I started this podcast because I like to talk and because I think a lot and because I like to think out loud, literally. And I started this podcast because I've never had a problem with being raw and authentically me. No matter what room I step into, who I spend time with, I am always the same. And I want to inspire others to do that also. Because what sort of life would I be living if I were to put the fear of other people's judgment above who I am as a person? What am I gonna, that would literally equate to me living a lie. If I let these fears and these second guessing nature dictate what I do, what I produce, what I put out into the world, then that would be living a fucking lie. And I always fear that I'm doing too much. And like, what if the guy that I was dating is listening to all of these episodes? What is he gonna think? Da da da. But I'm just like, I'm not gonna like do things while centering other people. You know what I mean? Because that's giving them power. I'm just always gonna speak my truth, share my experiences with the world, the lessons I've learned, all the thought processes I've had about whatever the fuck it is I feel like thinking and talking about, right? And I'm never, ever, ever going to center someone else in my fucking universe and dictate what I do because I care what they think. That is stupid. And that would literally be me betraying myself. And that would be me living a lie and me being inauthentic. And this sounds like I'm justifying something. I feel like I have to justify it because these thoughts are so alive in my mind. And they're alive in every woman's mind. Every woman has had these thoughts where they're like, am I being obsessive? Am I doing too much? Why do I even still care about this? But it's just what it is. If you still are thinking of something, if you still care about something, what the fuck are you going to do about it? You know, pretending that you don't isn't going to make it go away. And I think this idea that women are, that this fear that we have of being too much and we care too much and men labeling us as obsessive, that shit, that's like what we always talk about on the pod. It comes from that place of the fact that we live in a world where we were trained that our survival is based on attaching to a man, right? Like, because for most of history, our safety and like our status and survival depended on being chosen by men. Marriage. It was about economics and protection and survival. Like if you didn't secure a partner, you were vulnerable. And if he left, you lost everything. So we have learned that love equals security and that attachment equals survival and that commitment equals safety. Whereas men, they were taught that love is fucking optional, that power is independence, and that detachment is strength. And that dynamic, even though the laws have changed and all that shit isn't the same anymore, that dynamic doesn't just disappear just because the law is different, you know? Like even from when we were raised as little girls, what do we see? fairy tales about being chosen, movies where love saves you, narratives were like patience and loyalty. That's what's rewarded in society. And if you love hard enough, he'll change. Like, we're just taught to build emotional homes inside other people. Whereas men are taught that conquest is status and like vulnerability is weakness and commitment is loss of freedom and emotional distance is power. So when we show devotion and consistency and emotional depth and longing, it gets framed as desperation instead of as human. And this whole like calling women too much thing and calling them obsessive and they're too much, this is a control mechanism. It's there to shame our needs, shrink our emotional expression, make us doubt our instincts, push us into self-abandonment, and to drive us to accept less. We're never asking for too much. We're never too much. We're just asking the wrong person a lot of the fucking time. And of course, the double standard, like, men are praised for that same fucking behavior. When men are obsessed and protective and attached, they're seen as romantic and passionate and devoted. And when women do it, we're seen as needy, intense, emotional, crazy. And that conditioning is so deep in us that me, who's just sharing my fucking life on my podcast and sharing all the things that I learn and observe and analyze and think about, I'm scared. I'm scared that the guy that I was seeing is thinking that I'm fucking crazy for even still talking about him. But I like refuse to succumb to that fear because I know it's conditioning. And I know that there's nothing wrong with it, bro. Nothing wrong with it. He was the first guy that I was regularly sleeping with and developed feelings for since my ex-boyfriend that I met 10 years ago. So of course this is having like a fucking impact on me. Of course it's taking me longer than fucking 2 weeks to process and get over, you know? And I don't want to shame myself for that just because of this internalized misogyny that we've all been conditioned to fucking have. And I feel like there's just so much contradiction in modern dating culture. Like, women, we're taught to still be soft and loving, and you have to be patient and loyal and understanding and nurturing. But we also at the same time shouldn't get attached too fast and don't care too much and don't expect like consistency. Like, the fact that I live my life thinking that it's normal that a man will inevitably always cheat, like, what the fuck? Like, literally, what the fuck? Why have I taught myself that that's just what's up? I don't think that's like, and the fact that I just expect that already to happen is crazy. And I know that that's like a self-protective mechanism and you want to feel like you're in control. So you're like already assuming what the outcome is going to be, blah, blah, blah. But if I am capable of not cheating when I'm in love with somebody and in a long-term relationship, then there are men out there that are also capable of not cheating. Like, I don't know why the fuck we're normalizing that it's okay for men to cheat so much. It's so fucking weird. It's so weird. And this, like, the fact that we're taught to be soft and loving and loyal, but also don't get attached and don't care too much and don't expect commitment and don't be so emotional. It's just an impossible standard. Like, none of those things make any sense. Like, how does it make sense that you're supposed to love but not need anything? How does it make sense that we're supposed to feel things but don't show that you're feeling anything? How does it make sense that you're supposed to care but don't expect anything in return? Like, I don't know. I think women aren't obsessive. We're just relational. We don't care too much. We just care honestly. And the world benefits from convincing us that our capacity for love is a flaw instead of a power. And I think the question shouldn't be, why do we even care too much? It's like, why does society feel threatened by women who know what they want, feel what they feel and refuse to numb themselves to be easier to leave. And I feel like the word obsessive, it's also evil because it's not a description, it's a diagnosis. Like it implies that somebody is not in control, that someone is irrational, unstable, excess, something there needs like fixing, right? Like it turns emotional depth into a psychological defect. Like a woman thinking about a man too much isn't in love. She's obsessed. Like when women, like it's so like a woman thinking about a man too much isn't in love. It means she's obsessed. And a woman wanting consistency isn't invested. She's attached. And a woman grieving a relationship isn't heartbroken. She's crazy. Like it's just, I think that women's emotions have, like, I feel like in history, they've always been medicalized almost. Like, because of course, if we look back, women were diagnosed with hysteria. We were sent to asylums for grieving. And we were like sedated for rage and like institutionalized for heartbreak and labeled unstable for wanting autonomy. And nowadays, of course, like all of this looks a lot softer, but it's still there. Like that same structure is still there. You're too emotional, you're anxious, you're obsessive, you're codependent, you have attachment issues. Like men are allowed to have like personalities, and women, we get disorders. A man who can't commit is independent. You know, a man who can't commit, independent motherfucker. And a woman who wants commitment is needy. And a man who disappears is protecting his peace. And a woman who asks for clarity is pressuring. You know what I mean? Like it's the hypocrisy, the double standard. It's insane. And I feel like what I also don't understand is how it seems that devotion is only dangerous when it's romantic. Like if a woman is obsessed with work, it means she's ambitious. And if we're obsessed with the gym, it means we're disciplined. And if we're obsessed with money, it means we're driven and beauty, high maintenance, spirituality, enlightened. But if we're obsessed with love, now all of a sudden we're unstable. And why is that? Because romantic attachment is the one place where women can challenge male power. Because wanting consistency demands accountability. Wanting commitment demands presence. Wanting love demands emotional labor. So it gets reframed as pathology. And I feel like the fear of women who feel deeply, of women who love too much, it just comes from this place like, because a woman who feels deeply sees clearly, right? Like we remember everything. We notice patterns. We hold people to their words and we connect emotionally. So we're dangerous to men who want to operate without consequence. So what is the perfect pushback for that? To discredit our perception. Call us crazy, obsessed, too much. Gaslighting the fuck out of us. Because gaslighting always starts with pathologizing perception. And what's even more dangerous is that all of this is teaching women culture. The cultural message behind all of this is teaching women to care less, to feel less, to want less, to expect less, to need less, be smaller, be cooler, be quieter, be low maintenance, be the chill girl. Like in culture, the ideal woman is emotionally self-sufficient, but sexually available, nurturing, but undemanding, loving, but disposable. So what if obsession isn't the problem? What if depth is not dysfunction, attachment is not weakness, devotion is not pathology, and sensitivity is not instability? What if women don't love too much? We just love in a culture that taught men to love too little. which we obviously all know because we've all been in situationships, we've all been ghosted before, we've all been exposed to breadcrumbing and like these fucking power games. You know, these aren't just random dating trends. They're literal behavioral expressions and reflections of like where we're at with our fucking culture. And I feel like things like situationships, we can get into situationships. I know that a lot of you are in them right now, and I literally have vowed to myself I would never be in one ever again because they literally drain the fucking life out of you. But situationships exist because I feel like commitment has been reframed as something that you earn instead of something two people choose, right? Because situationships, they thrive in this culture of like infinite options and this like fear of like limitation and fear of choosing wrong and fear of emotional responsibility. Situationships absolutely keep women emotionally invested without giving them security. And they keep men emotionally entertained without requiring accountability. They're literally the perfect structure for a world that wants women loyal and men free. Like, you don't understand the hatred that I have for situationships. Genuinely. I literally do not believe that there is such a thing as like a healthy functioning situationship. It doesn't exist. There's always one half of the situationship that would be down to be committed. And they're just sticking around because they're too in love. There is no such thing as a healthy situationship. There really fucking isn't. There really isn't. And I feel like ghosting is obviously like we've all been ghosted. I'm sure we've all also done ghosting. It's so normalized for so many reasons. I mean, the phone world that we live in, how addicted we are to phones, how overwhelmed we are with having to be available on all these communication channels these days. All of that pressure is contributing to why it feels easier to ghost sometimes and why ghosting is so normal. But I really want to like become better at responding to people regularly. I mean, to be honest, I would never fucking ghost somebody that I had like some sort of emotional entanglement with ever. That's so horrible when people do that shit, like dating somebody and then they just disappear. Or even like, I mean, there's people that have been in marriages and then they end up getting ghosted. Like, how the fuck is that a reality? But it really is. Like, I could never ghost someone that I'm married to, that I've just, even if I date someone for a month, you think I'm ghosting them? Like, that's the lowest of the fucking low. But there's people that behave that way and that do those types of things. And I feel like ghosting, it just means that like this person, or it's just shitty coward behavior because it signals to the person that they're not worth an explanation. And like, it's this whole attitude of I don't owe anybody anything. I hate that. Like, I hate when people are like, I don't owe anyone anything. It's not true. We all owe each other respect and decency. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just don't fuck with it when people are selfish like that. And obviously we live in a world that rewards you for being selfish. So I understand where people are getting this attitude from, but it's fucked up. And it's really bad and it's really dangerous. I feel like when people ghost people, it also just says like that you're inherently like selfish as fuck and you think your comfort matters more than their humanity. You know what I mean? And that's so evil to me. It's so evil. But it works because we live in a culture where detachment is so rewarded. And if we look at breadcrumbing, bro, this whole breadcrumbing shit, which is like the ultimate foundation of any toxic relationship, is breadcrumbing, which is like, it's also so evil. Like you give somebody just enough attention to like keep them hoping, and just enough affection to keep them attached, and just enough presence to stop you from leaving them. Like, it just feeds women's relational imagination and it exploits our hope and it turns longing into absolute leverage. Like, breadcrumbing is the illusion of connection, but it is so selfish and evil and manipulative and fucked up. Every person that's breadcrumbing knows exactly what they're doing. Don't fucking feed into it. Fucking bounce, bro. Don't even. This is exactly how I ended up in that abusive relationship for so many years. Because every foundation of every toxic relationship is breadcrumbing, and it gets you so addicted. It gets you so fucking addicted. It is so dangerous. And at least I know this now. I don't know if breadcrumbing is ever going to work on me ever again, because I would be able to kind of identify it very soon thereafter. However, I think it also, like, having the self-worth to take the lessons you've learned and also act in coherence with them. It's one thing knowing better, but doing better, that takes self-worth and courage. Like, I'm telling you, if the guy that I was seeing, if he would have been a dickhead and would have wanted to continue seeing me casually and used me for sex and validation and keeping the door open ajar like 1,000,001 dudes would have done, I would have been too weak to say no. I don't know if I would have had the courage and the self-worth and the self-respect to be like, no, fuck you. It's either we're going all in or we're not doing that. Like, I'm being so real right now. If he would have wanted to use me for sex and validation, I probably would have been like, what's up? What's up, sweetie pie? How you doing? Like, absolutely, you can come over. Because, I mean, I think that's a whole conversation for another day, but dead ass, like, I appreciate that he had such, like, strong boundaries that didn't just protect him, but also protected me, because I don't know if I would have had it in me. I don't know if I would have. I mean, also, we're never going to know. Who the fuck knows? Maybe I would have been capable of being like, I can't do this. I can't do casual. I can't do situationships. But who the fuck knows? If I go by how I used to be, I was never really good at that. I was never good at putting myself first and loving myself and respecting myself and having boundaries because I love myself. But who knows? Maybe I've grown and shit. Who the fuck knows? We're never gonna know. We're at least not gonna know from this situation. And I hope the next situation is not gonna even put me in a position like that. I just want to meet the love of my life, y'all. I just want to be in love. I just want to be in love. You know what I realized the other day? That I have never been on, like, a holiday with a boyfriend. Like, I really want to go on a trip with a boyfriend. I really want to, like, go in a van and, like, camp in, like, the fucking mountains or some shit. Like, I don't know. I just want to, like, travel with, like, somebody that you're in love with and, like, fuck in nature. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, that would be so cute. And I know it's going to happen, but I want it to happen right now. I really do. I really do. Back to the drawing board. What were we talking about? We were talking about all the ways that dating culture is fucked up. Situationships, ghosting, and breadcrumbing, and blah, blah, blah. You know, the craziest one, though, is emotional I can never say this word. Ambiguity. Emotional ambiguity. That's correct, no? I'm pronouncing that right? Because this is, like, I feel like the most violent one. Because it's like this whole, like, I don't know what I want, and I'm not ready for a relationship, and let's just see where this goes, and I don't like labels, like, and it's so violent because these phrases, they sound neutral as fuck, but they are not. They are not neutral. They are manipulative as hell because they put us into emotional limbo, and they turn everything into a gamble, and they make us wait in, like, uncertainty, right? While the man retains his control. I don't know why I'm assigning genders to this shit. I'm sure there's tons of women that have used emotional ambiguity to their benefit also, but you get the fucking point, right? You get the fucking point. This is the most evil one. I remember when my ex said that shit to me in the beginning. Like, I really like you, but I can't do I don't want a relationship right now. And I remember that when he said this to me, my heart broke into a million pieces because obviously we had been like seeing each other and been super like involved and intentionally dating for, I don't know for how long, a month or two or whatever. So when he said that, none of it made sense to me. But back then I was so young and innocent that I was like, whatever. I really like this guy. I'm just going to continue seeing him anyway because sure, he doesn't want a relationship right now, but what if a few months down the line and then you blink and suddenly you're in like the worst situation you could have been in? Should have fucking left when he told me that. Literally, the day he told me that, I don't want to, well, to be honest, no. I should have left. I should have not further engaged with this guy from like week 2 of knowing him. Because on the second week of us even knowing each other, we already were arguing. We already had an argument. Like, I think we were even still just friends then, but we were arguing. And that is like a signal. Like, if you just meet someone and you're already that heated together, take it as a fucking sign. Take it as a sign. Don't get fucking involved with this person. But what the fuck did I know? You know what I mean? And then that should have been like where sure, I get it. Like, I liked him. I had hope, whatever. But when he told me he doesn't want a relationship right now, it's that stuff that you only understand in hindsight. It really is. And it sucks that like no matter how much we give people advice and we talk to people about these things and we spread the knowledge and spread the word and spread our experiences, people are only gonna fucking learn by doing. You can tell somebody as much as you want, he sucks and he's abusive and he's using you and he's lying and he's cheating, you should leave him, but you're still only going to do whatever the fuck it is you want to do, especially in those situations. Like I've rarely experienced anyone ever taking my advice and then actually leaving somebody because it's really hard. It's really fucking hard. That's why you have to be patient with every friend that you have that is in an abusive situationship, relationship, and you don't get why they're not leaving. It is so hard to leave when you're entangled with somebody like that in a situation like that. You really have to practice patience and understanding. And of course, I understand that it's hard to be that friend because you feel for them so deeply and it can be so consuming and even torturous to watch your friend go through such suffering. And you can protect your peace while still remaining supportive and patient and understanding with them. And if you want to know, if you are curious to understand why victims of abuse don't just fucking leave, listen to my episode. I think it's called How My Ex Gave Me Irreversible Brain Damage. I kind of like get into it there because I know that only people that have been victims of abuse understand why it's so hard to leave. And I feel like very often when somebody goes through all of those things, breadcrumbing, ghosting, situationships, abusive relationship, emotional ambiguity, whatever, all of the things, what very often happens is that we like try to teach ourselves to become the chill girl. You know what I mean? Like just a woman who performs indifference as a survival mechanism. Like we pretend like we don't care and we're minimizing our needs and we laugh off disrespect and accept inconsistency and trade our emotional safety for proximity. Like that shit, let me tell you right now, which most of you probably obviously know, but it's not empowering at all. It's super fucked up. Super fucked up because you're adapting to a system that is punishing us for wanting normal fucking things. Being the chill girl is never, ever a good thing. Doesn't mean I don't have understanding for it though. I understand that it comes from a place of wanting to survive and wanting to be picked, and with the amount of value that is attached to a woman being chosen by a fucking man, I understand where this whole chill girl things comes from. And I have the utmost love for it. You know what I mean? I will never hate on the chill girl or hate on the pick me. I get where it comes from. But we need to actively stop doing all that shit. We really do. We really fucking do. We need to start demanding even more and asking for more and standing up for ourselves and not being ashamed for any of it. Fuck men and fuck the bare minimum. Seriously, what the fuck? What the fuck? And then you have like, I feel like modern dating is also so structured around power. Like the whole like who texted first, who texted last thing. Like this whole thing of like who cares less is who wins. And oh my God, it's so ridiculous. I hate Hinge. I hate this whole texting shit. I hate it all. Modern dating is so fucking lame, dude. I just want to meet the love of my life in a grocery store. I don't want to be on a dating app. It is so fucking lame. It's so lame. And it just feels exhausting and humiliating because women are like trying to love inside of a system that does not value love. It's just, we're trying to commit in a culture that's addicted to options, and we're trying to attach in a culture that treats attachment as weakness. And we're trying to build homes in a culture that rewards homelessness, metaphorically speaking, obviously. So we continue doubting ourselves, shrinking our needs, bargaining for affection, like literally bargaining for affection, negotiating basic respect, waiting around for clarity, and then, cherry on top, be told that we're doing too much. I feel like modern dating did not become broken by accident. It became super efficient for men, super profitable for apps, and emotionally costly for women. And women are gaslit every day into believing that the problem is their hearts. But it isn't our hearts. It's the system that we're trying to love inside of. And since the system we're trying to love inside of is not going to change anytime soon, the one thing we can do is reclaim authority over our hearts, right? The only thing we can do is like be deeply grounded and embodied and like trust ourselves. Because I feel like the one thing that we have for certain is that we have the power over whether we negotiate over our needs or not. We have the power to decide whether we want to romanticize potential or not. We have the power to decide whether we want to wait in ambiguity and whether we want to beg for clarity or not. Right? We can trust our perception. We don't have to shrink ourselves to stay chosen. We don't have to feel this weird feeling of like that we're auditioning for love. We can start selecting it. And I think that obviously it's hard to unlearn things like that we have to prove our worth and earn commitment and wait patiently and be understanding at our own expense and tolerate inconsistency and accept breadcrumbing. But I think we're capable of replacing those things with standards and self-respect and self-trust and emotional intelligence and choice. I think it is super possible to move from why doesn't he choose me to do I even want him? Right? Because we really need to put a fucking end to this romantic negotiation bullshit. We have been taught to negotiate love as if it's like a hostage situation for way too fucking long. If I'm patient enough, if I'm cool enough, if I'm understanding enough, if I don't pressure him, if I give him time, bro, we're not supposed to convince people to love us. We're supposed to observe whether they can and then go from there. Right? And this we need to kill potential-based love. We really do. Because the amount of times we choose to stick to men because of who he could be or who he might become or what it could possibly turn into is fucking crazy. And it makes sense why we do that, but we actually need to fucking stop. Because we should fall in love with behavior and consistency and emotional availability and presence and people that follow through, not fantasy. And I feel like we also have to remember that standards are not necessarily demands. Wanting things like communication and commitment, that's not being demanding. You're not asking for too much at all. That's just being discerning. And if you have to ask for it, you're most definitely probably asking the wrong person. And I think something we also have to normalize, which is fucking hard, but like walking away early, because that's power. That is such power. Not staying until the hope dies is such power. Not waiting for closure, not lingering in limbo. That shit is so hard to do. But that is power you have control over. To leave when the effort drops and when the communication fades and when ambiguity appears and inconsistency appears. Whenever your nervous system feels unsafe. Just fucking leaving. Not with drama and not with begging, but with self-respect. That shit is hard as fuck, but it is like, you're going to be so grateful to yourself when you do that. Like the way one of my best friends handled her breakup, no begging, no over-explaining, nothing. She just left with her fucking self-respect and her pride intact. And to this day, I'm like in awe of how she did that, because when the 1,000,001 times my ex left me, I mean, when I read some of the fucking long ass text message essays I used to send to him, I literally I can't believe that used to be me, bro. I used to have such little self-respect. It is crazy. It is so crazy. And I think, a lot of the time, especially people that have been in abusive situations or toxic relationships, you think that things like intensity are kind of like a form of bonding or connection, and you start confusing things like chaos with passion, right? And I think it is so hard to unlearn those things, but I really want to get to a place where I value safety and calm and consistency. I mean, I definitely am at a place where I value safety and consistency. The way the last guy I was seeing, the way he made me feel so safe, like I'm such an anxious attachment style person. And whenever my brain would start having anxious thoughts or like would just start thinking about stuff because I'm just an anxious person, literally within that same second, I would receive a text message from him or a call from him. And it was just, that really showed me that whoever I date in the future, that's what I need. Like, I need somebody who is like a consistent communicator and who isn't nonchalant, and like, because that balances me out. Like, he didn't even leave any space for me to be anxious about anything, because he would always, like, on days where he couldn't communicate consistently, he would send me a message and be like, hey, in case you're wondering why I'm not communicating as much today, it's because I'm busy and I'm doing XYZ. I'm like, who the fuck sent this man my way? Because this is exactly what I need from my partner. You know what I mean? That's the type of shit that makes me feel so safe and calm. And I love that those people, like, that was like confirmation for me that those people exist. Like, what I need from a man, that shit exists. And I'm excited. I'm excited to find my person. I keep saying that. I need to shut the fuck up. But it's really hard to unlearn a lot of those things that you may have taken on from being involved with toxic people, and to learn how to value things like emotional regulation and reliability and consistency, blah, blah, blah. It takes practice and it takes time and it takes healing and it takes courage and loving yourself and respecting yourself. But 100%, if I've learned one fucking thing in this life, is that love should feel grounding. It should not feel destabilizing. It should not feel destabilizing. And destabilizing is like a nice word, bro. The things that the love to my ex-boyfriend have made me feel, I mean, bro, that relationship literally made me underweight, first of all. I was 47 kilos and I'm 179 centimeters tall. It made me anemic. It made me develop an anxiety disorder. Like, anyways, that shit, I mean, and I think that, you know, I think the goal is like, it's not to feel like, don't fall into the trap of like, you want to hide away from the world and you want to feel less and you don't want to give a fuck and fuck men. And we cannot allow them to get away with that shit. Fuck giving people that have hurt us power like that. Because the second you give up on love and you give up on men, that's the second we give them all the power. Yes, so many men suck and should be held accountable. And there's so much wrong with the system that we live in. But there are still so many good men out there, and we cannot give up on them. And we cannot fall into this trap of avoiding love and of avoiding connection and telling yourself that you need to just become nonchalant and not give a fuck and become a man-eater. Like, that's not the answer either. It really isn't. It really isn't. And the things we have control over is the trust you have in yourself. Because a woman who trusts herself is nearly impossible to manipulate. You know what I mean? And trusting in yourself is a funny thing to say, because the war we feel between like intuition and conditioning, you know what I mean? Like, how often as a woman have you had a gut feeling, but you literally let that internalized misogyny take over and be like, you know what? I think I'm just being a little crazy and I'm just gonna not act on this gut feeling. And then in the end, you were right. You were fucking right. I literally remember making a podcast episode like a few weeks ago. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was why women are always angry or something like that. And the intro to the episode, I'm literally talking about how I was anxious. There was a switch up, and there was like 2 days where the guy that I was talking to was acting different. He was communicating less frequently. It was like the first time he hadn't responded to me in like it was the first time he hadn't written me in 24 hours when he was like a consistent communicator, whatever. And like he had told me that he was feeling low, right? And that he needed space and whatever, right? But there was something inside of me that was telling me something is off. And I literally remember kind of freaking out over it for like 2 days, but talking to my friends and being like, I think I'm like projecting my past onto him. I think I'm projecting all of the trauma from my ex onto him. Like, I think I'm just having these anxieties because my ex used to always act this way with me. Like, my ex used to always ice me out and like switch up, and like 1 second he'd be nice, the next he'd be fucking weird and ignore me for 5 days straight. So I was telling myself that the gut feeling I was feeling was just my trauma and my anxiety. I was telling myself that I'm projecting my past onto the present. But then lo and behold, I fucking wasn't. Something was off, because a week later he ended things with me. Because I guess that was like the week he realized whatever. I don't even think I ever got into why we ended things onto my podcast, because I wanted to give my life some privacy and not put his business everywhere. But whatever, not the point. Point being, I fucking knew something was up, but I was telling myself that I was making it up, that it was my past, that it was trauma, that it was just anxiety. But in the end, I was right. I was right. My gut feeling was right. And the fact that like we're never sure, like even when you have a gut feeling, trusting the gut feeling is a whole nother fucking ball game. Like I'm always like, yeah, trust your gut feeling, whatever, trust your gut feeling. When you have that gut feeling to like trust it, that's like, how do you even do that? Because I always fall into this like anxiety shit of like, maybe I am overthinking. And then in the end, no, I should have trusted my fucking gut feeling. It's like the hardest thing to actually trust your gut feeling is such a challenge. It's such a challenge. And I feel like that inner war that we experience as women, which is like, because it's like we constantly have this war of like intuition versus conditioning and desire versus shame and longing versus pride and hope versus self-respect. Like that's the type of shit we're constantly battling with internally. And I feel like there are just moments in every woman's life when something inside of us shifts, right? Like for me, the amount of shit I have learned about relationships and men through my ex and through now dating again is like fucking crazy. And I feel like it is one of my biggest goals to become a woman that doesn't just hope, but somebody that knows. Because hope believes in potential, right? We love the version of him that exists in our imagination, and we wait for a future that we've built in our heads. And we tell ourselves things like that. He's just scared and he's been hurt before and he doesn't know how to love and he just needs time. And like we turn red flags into challenges and inconsistency into mystery and shit like that. You know what I mean? But like a woman who knows doesn't fall in love with words. She falls in love with behavior, and she doesn't listen to promises, and she doesn't stay loyal to potential. She understands that love is not something you convince somebody to give you. She knows that if someone wanted to show up, they would. If they wanted to choose her, they would. If they were capable of loving her, they would. She no longer participates in things like emotional negotiations and doesn't wait in ambiguity and doesn't try to be easier to love. Because the woman that knows has grieved, right? She's grieved fantasy. She's grieved the future she's imagined. She's grieved the version of love that she was promised. She has grieved the girl who stayed too long and who waited and who believed and who hoped. And the woman who knows honors her, but she does not live as her anymore because she understands now that love is not proven through suffering. Devotion is not measured in endurance, and loyalty to somebody who cannot love you back is not romantic. It is abandoning thyself. You know what I mean? That is who I strive to be. I strive to be somebody that like chooses herself and that walks away and doesn't stay too long, hoping that something is going to fucking change. No longer doing things like building homes for people who are only visiting, because there is like nothing worse than living in a relationship with somebody that doesn't love you and doesn't respect you and doesn't give a single fuck about you. Being single is a million times fucking better than that. It really is, bro. And when you meet that person that meets you there in presence and like in consistency and in depth and in devotion, you won't even feel like you need to convince them to fucking do anything. It will just feel easy and simple and right. And I say this like I've ever experienced it before. I have not. But I'm strongly convinced that that is how it's meant to be. When somebody meets you where you are, you don't need to convince them that you're easy to love. The girl, I feel like people like us who hope believe that love is something you earn. And I think it's so important that we get to a place where we understand that love is not something you need to earn. You should never feel like you need to convince somebody that you're easy to love. The woman that we want to be, the women we want to be, understand that love is something we allow, you know? And we allow only what honors our hearts. And I mean, we've spoken about this in the past also, like loving without losing yourself and healthy love. I've never fucking experienced it. I remember speaking about, can you love without losing yourself? Because dating for the first time since my abusive ex-boyfriend was such an interesting experience, because all I knew was the kind of love that was losing yourself in somebody else, where all you cared about was them. Like, I didn't even exist. My existence was him. It was all about him. And so loving without losing yourself just literally means staying present with your own heart, not disappearing into them, not making them the center of your universe, not abandoning the things that make you you just because a person has now entered your world. And it was so cool to experience that I was fully capable of that. And that I am fully capable of that now. The fact that I can develop feelings for somebody, like somebody, have a crush on somebody, and that not consuming my entire life, and that I'm capable of like continuously like showing up for myself and the things that I care about and the things that I identify myself with, that's fucking awesome. And I would have never been capable of that when I was still with my ex. Literally. Like remaining whole, keeping your life, your friendships, your dreams, your identity, your voice. Love should be something that adds to you, not something that replaces you. And I feel like I love the term falling in love. I love the term falling in love so much. And I really cannot wait for the day where I will feel that again, because I haven't felt like in love in so long. I really miss the feeling of being in love. I really do. And I know that it's debatable because everybody's like, the last person you loved or were in love with was your ex, and that was abusive as fuck. And like, was that even real love? I think it's like, sure, you can argue, of course it wasn't, like, he definitely didn't love me because he wouldn't have done all of those things to me if he fucking loved me. But I definitely was, it was like definitely a mix of like, for sure, I loved him and I was in love with him. I was definitely also addicted as fuck to him, but I was definitely head over heels in love with him. I just wonder if like healthy love feels like not like falling, but like standing, and it will just not take you away from yourself and it will bring you home. And I feel like the woman you become when you stop abandoning yourself is the woman who finally knows how to receive it. And I really genuinely have no idea how we even ended up here. It's so funny to me that I started recording this episode being like, I don't fucking know what I want to talk about today. Nothing feels inspiring. This is like one of the first times that I've just started yapping and then something inspired me along the way. And that was really cool. Because that, again, that shows like I need to just trust in my abilities more and like not let everything, like, because sometimes I really let my feelings just consume me. Like then I sit here and I'm uninspired and I'm depressed and I feel put under pressure because I'm like, I need to fucking record an episode. People are waiting. But to just flow with the process and then you end up somewhere anyway, like that's so fucking awesome. And I think I don't really know where I want to end this episode. I really don't. I just want everybody here to know that you're never too much. You're never asking for too much. You were never loving wrong. You were never broken. You were loving in a world. You were just loving in a world that taught you to doubt your own heart, and loving in a culture that just rewards detachment, and loving in a world that makes you negotiate for what should have been freely given. And I feel like it's important to remember that you're not meant to shrink yourself to be chosen, and you're not meant to perform indifference to be desired, and you're not meant to silence your needs to be kept, and you're not meant to betray your instincts to stay loved. You are meant to be met in presence and in effort and in devotion and in care and in truth. And the heart you were taught to be ashamed of is not weakness. It is your intelligence. It is your compass. It is your power. Your capacity for depth is so rare and so hot, and your ability to attach is human as fuck and awesome as fuck, and your desire for love is sacred. And the world may try to convince you that you must become colder to survive it, but the truth is that you do not need to feel less. You need to be loved better. And when you finally stop bargaining for love and stop chasing what cannot meet you and stop waiting in places where you are not seen and stop abandoning yourself for connection, you will not lose love. You will find it, because the love that is meant for you will never require you to disappear. And I know these are big words coming from a little girl that has never once in her life been in a long-term healthy partnership, and I've only experienced, somebody posted, my body has been touched by more abuse than with love. And I did a whole TikTok over it because that was crazy, because I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, why are you reading me to filth like that? Like, that's wild, because it's true. My body has been touched with more abuse than with love. And that is fucking sad. But even though that is the case, I have not given up on love, and I never will. I never fucking will. And I hope you guys don't either. And leave your toxic situationships and stupid abusive boyfriends. They suck and they don't deserve you guys. And I feel like I should start a YouTube channel. Should I start a YouTube channel? I love the comfort channels, like, for example, Madeline RG's channel. I love that feeling it gives me, and I want to give you guys that feeling too. And I know I give so many of you that feeling of comfort and feeling seen with my podcast, but why not have like another outlet and like another form of that? Because I think visual comfort is also like another thing versus like me yapping about all the shit that goes on in my head. And I think I'm in such like a transformative era of my life. Like, I'm trying to prioritize my health and my goals and like just me. And I think that could be really inspiring to document, because I'm sure many of you are on this journey also. But I just wanted to ask if that's something you guys were interested in, because if that's the case, then I'll fucking do it. I've always wanted to have a YouTube channel, but I think I've always kind of been like, I don't know, kind of not doing it because it's a lot of work, bro. Especially being like a vlogger, that's a lot of work. Because you're not just yapping to a camera. You like have to show what you're fucking up to. But I'm down to put in the work if you guys want me to fucking put in the work. Anyways, I love you guys so, so much. You know where to find me, Low-Key Chaotic Podcast. Oh, I'm bringing out my first song. From the day I started this podcast, like 8 months ago or whatever, I was talking about how I finally started making music, etc. And it's happening. Like, I'm going to bring out my first single. Can you fucking imagine? I can't even believe it. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. I'm also kind of scared, but I'm also excited. I love this song. I can't wait to show you guys the cover and shit. It's so fucking hot. Anyways, love y'all. You know where to find me, Low-Key Chaotic Podcast, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.